finishing up, so that means we're a little bit after 6. Unfortunately, we don't have the original bell to call the class to session, but without further ado, we will get started. Just like back in the day, how'd school start? Arlie? Dad, would you come help me hold the flag?
Are you on here? No, you're not on. I have a couple of pictures. They can watch.
Yep. All please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing.
Good job.
Now, let's open with a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity we have to gather here together at the Tyrone Schoolhouse to learn a little bit of the history of this building, of what school was like back in those days, and everything that we miss out on today. Being able to come together as a community in this place is such a blessing. It's something that hasn't happened for many years, and fortunately, thanks to your will, we are able to gather here yet again today. Be with us as we leave from this place today. Bless the snacks and fellowship that we'll have after this talk, and pray all this in your heavenly name. Amen. You may be seated. I hope everybody is ready for their test. I have an exam. This comes from the Westmoreland County Public Schools, and this is I'm going to just do a few questions from the midterm exam for 4th grade, 1943 to 1944. The first question, which is reading. True. True or false? A hard electric shock feels pleasant. Doing good so far. True or false, the first line of every paragraph should be indented. True. As of 1943 to 44. This next section, the next group of questions is on history. When the first settlers came to our community, they found 1, Spaniards, 2, Chinese, 3, Canadians, 4, Indians. Indians. Christopher Columbus was born in Italy in the city of 1, Naples, 2, Rome, 3, Genoa, 4, Florence. Genoa. I wouldn't have known that. You know that. Christopher Columbus received help to buy ships for his first voyage of discovery from the courtesy of 1, Portugal, 2, Italy, 3, Spain, or 4, England? Spain. True or false, the French claimed the land drained by the Mississippi River?
True.
False. Where does our water go from here?
Mississippi, but that was a former owner. So they had all the west.
Okay.
So they got Missouri River, all those coming in. So they didn't climb it?
True.
I'm surprised it didn't.
So geography. In the wintertime, the Eskimos travel mostly by 1, airplane, 2, dog sleds, 3, railroad, or 4, automobile. The chief vegetable of the Eskimo was 1 vegetable, or the chief food of the Eskimos, was 1, vegetables, 2, fruit, 3, meat and fish, or 4, oysters? Meat and fish. Next up is health. When a boy or girl sits and stands erect at all times, we say he has good 1. Posh. Children should not put their fingers in their mouths because 1, it does not look nice. 2, because there may be disease germs on them. Germs. Okay, now remember, this is during the war. We can help win the war by 1, talking about it. 2, saving waste paper. 3, listening to the radio. Or 4, using our automobiles for pleasure. 2, saving waste paper. The fuel used to heat most homes is 1, oil, 2, gas, 3, coal, or 4, coke? Coal. And then the last question for the exam for today. A miller works with 1, coal, 2, leather, 3, wood, or 4, corn? Corn. Very good. Before we get started with getting into the history of this schoolhouse, I'm going to play a short clip of a video. This is just a general video on one-room schoolhouses. It'll help put you in the mindset of what these were all about. It's only a minute long, so it's not going to be too bad.
They've been called by many names: pillars of the Republic, citadels of learning, emblems of our nation. You'll recognize them more simply as country schools, one-room schools, the Little Red Schoolhouse, the district school. Small by design, but looming large in the history of American education, one-room schools became the symbols of a hopeful and confident nation. Here, the children of founders, settlers, and immigrants would receive a common education with the goal of ensuring a unified, moral, patriotic, and literate voting population. Good United States citizens for the future. It was in the country school that the story of generations of scholars seeking the American dream would unfold. Fortunately, in communities across the country, concerned citizens and history buffs have adopted local schoolhouses, raised money and volunteers, made major structural repairs, and have successfully reopened their schools to visitors and community events.
And that's where we are at today. Fortunately, in 1998, James and Beverly Brown had donated this building to the Tyrone Presbyterian Church, who still owns it today. We've done many renovations on it since then. Before we get into that, we'll go back in time to how the building came about. It was 1873, and the need of a schoolhouse in this area due to a larger community was needed. Jacob Newcomer was the owner of the tract of land that we're on today. It consisted of 129 acres after 2 lots were pieced off. The first lot was whenever the church officially got the deed to their 2 acres, which had the church house and the graveyard. And then the second lot was 3/4 of an acre in which they built this building. Whenever we first started getting into the restoration of this building, not a lot of the history was put together into one place. So it's been fun over the last 3 years to be able to piece some of that together while we piece the building back together. The tax map for Fayette County indicated that this building was built in 1880. I learned that was incorrect whenever I was going through church minutes of 1873, and I found in one of our session books at that time that the church was not yet done being constructed. The church was built 1871. It took 2 years of construction before they dedicated it in August of 1873. Because that church was not done, the congregation was meeting at different houses of worship around the community, Jacob's Creek being one of them, as they have an older building than what Tyrone has here. But in that book of meeting minutes, I found one page in which it stated up top that the session of the church met at the Tyrone School across from the graveyard from the Tyrone Church property. So that proved to me that 1880 was definitely not correct. So I knew it was at least 1873. If you do a little bit more digging, in 1872, Fayette County had atlas maps made, and the schoolhouse does not show up on atlas maps. Couldn't have fell more perfectly that that pinpointed whenever the date was, being that they met here and it wasn't on the map the year before. In 1877 is whenever the townships divided. So whenever the school was built here, it was part of the Tyrone Township, so it predates Upper and Lower Tyrone, the divide. So it was a school in the Tyrone School District. The school operated here from 1873 to 1949, in which it has its last school year, full school year, and it closed in 1950. It was reopened again, from what I'm told from one school student, that the age fell right, that she attended here and then she jumped around to another couple of schoolhouses, that for half a year, the first half of the school year, 1953 to 54, they opened the Tyrone School again as they were transitioning all the students to the Brownfield Elementary School, which was opened and dedicated in 1954. So it was shortly after that, they just finished the new elementary school, all the one-room schoolhouses are closed down, education here stopped, that May 11th, 1945, this building was auctioned to the community. Whoever was the highest bid at the time. The highest bid was James and Lewis Cochran. They had the farm right next to us over here. So go down the holler, and the Pritts own it now. And they paid $515 for this building and 3/4 of an acre. At the time, there wasn't a shed out back. The shed came after the fact. But what used to be out back, and the reason we know it, is there was an outhouse there. And it was an outhouse, and that's also where they stored the coal to heat this building. And you can see it, there's one picture, well, it's a couple places over there as we've made copies and reused it on different things, but it's the only picture we have of this building from the outside whenever it was in use as a schoolhouse, taking a picture of the building itself. And you can see in the corner of the picture the roof of the outhouse, just the corner of it, which I thought was pretty cool that it landed just how it did and not off to the side a little bit. Anyways, some more in the building. Whenever it was used as a schoolhouse, there were 8 grades here, anywhere from 20 to 40 students, somewhere in between is the average. From what I know about the more current years, based on stories that are told by like Arlie Rumball, who's here today, one of the last few school students with us still, is that there's 8 grades here. First grade was over on this side of the room, and there were 8 rows heading across the room, similar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like what we have today. And it went first grade through 8th grade, so everybody over in that last row is an 8th grader. Everybody over here is a first grader. And you figure out where you're at in between. There was a row down the middle. The original potbelly stove sat in the middle of the room. If you look up at the ceiling, you can see the box, not the hole, but the box where they patched the ceiling. The hole in the ceiling comes later on whenever a gentleman, Moose Garrity, was living here. He had a barber shop in one half, and he lived in the other half, and that's from his kitchen stove. During the later years, as this being a schoolhouse, the potbelly stove was moved to the back of the room, where the furnace sits today. We actually used the same hole and just cut it a little bigger whenever we installed the new furnace and chimney, whenever we had the roof replaced last year. The pictures of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, I don't know for sure if they're original to this building, but whenever we started the restoration of this building, we did find them here. They are old frames, they are old photos. Whenever I redid the frames, just to make them structurally sound enough to put on the wall, I looked up the company that did the printing, and if I recall, they went out of business in the early 1900s, so those are old pictures that are time period to this building. So they may not have been here at the time, but they are a time period. A lot of the desks were donated to us by the president of the Country School Association of America, Dr. Veronica Ent. She works at St. Vincent as a professor there. We're very fortunate. The Country School Association of America, it's a national nonprofit organization, and we've had our fair share of recognition in the past few years for the work that we've been doing restoring this building. But whenever she called me up and she's like, hey, I love what you're doing with your schoolhouse. You're the closest one to me, because she has a one-room schoolhouse that her mom restored and went to up in Westmoreland County. She's like, you're the closest one that's really putting something like this together. my mom had passed away and I have all this extra school stuff that we already have a fully equipped schoolhouse. It's just in storage. It's not serving a purpose for me, really. I'd love to give it to you. And that's where this teacher's desk came from, the teacher's chair, all of the desks that are here. We have about another dozen desks out in the shed that are smaller. That would have been for the first, second, maybe third graders. The working reed organ off to the side of the building in the room here. She donated enough slate chalkboards for us to put a slate chalkboard back up front. That's on our project list, which will be really cool once we get to it. We'll shift all the trophies and stuff around from the men's dartball team onto the back wall. So whenever we get to that point, eventually we'll have a slate chalkboard in here again. So anyways, moving back into the history, the schoolhouse was sold to the Cochrans. They then had it for 14 years, and then they sold it to Moose Garrity. I'm not sure what the Cochrans really did with it. Maybe it was just a storage building for their farm, being that they were so close at the time, and this is a nice big open room. We don't know whatever happened to the original desks or potbelly stoves or books or anything like that. The books that we have on display came from a donation that we got from the pastor of Middle Presbyterian Church. His grandmother was the last school teacher of the Cunningham School. And whenever they closed down that school, she inherited their library. And whenever he got the family farm, the library was at the family farm. And with his connection that he has with us here at Tyrone, he figured there's no better place to be able to put these books back into the community and into use where they're going to be cared for and appreciated than here at the schoolhouse. So there's some over there. Across the top here is a lot of the more formal schooling books for the different levels. And then inside the desk here, we also have, and you're welcome to take a look after, older books that date back into the 1800s. So this is something cool to check out. So definitely feel free to come up afterwards and look at things. Moose Garrity, whenever he had the schoolhouse here, he operated a barber shop, as I mentioned. And at the time, there was a divider down the room right around here. He had a barber shop in this side. He had a pool table up front, the barber chair in the back, lived in this side, so kitchen, probably bedroom up front, and then the bathroom that's here today is here because he lived in that side. It's fortunate for us with all the activities that we do here that we have a bathroom, so that was a blessing for us. Whenever he operated the barber shop, he had actually taken out the middle window, and there was a door there. There was also a door in the back window over on that side. All of that was restored after the fact, not by the church, but by the owner after him. Tragically, Moose Garrity passed away here on the property. He was working on his truck and had an accident, which took his life. It transferred to another member of the family. They put it up for sale, and that's whenever James and Beverly Brown had purchased this building. They bought the building for, I don't have it on my notes, but I recall, there, $10,000. They had purchased the building in 1995, and they had the dream of turning it back into what we see today, a one-room schoolhouse. So they were the ones that took off the partition wall out that separated the buildings. They put the brick back. They put the windows in. And then 3 years later, they moved to Arizona. At the time, having the appreciation they did for this building, having the appreciation for having it remain a schoolhouse for community use and community education, they donated it to the Tyrone Presbyterian Church dollar transfer, which was a blessing. So on July 2nd, 1998, Tyrone Presbyterian Church acquired the Tyrone Schoolhouse. It was shortly after that that renovations inside started, and in the book, the photo album over on the back table there, you can see photos from the homecoming in 1998, and there's also, if you flip through other pages, where they're renovating the building. Whenever they acquired the building, the floors did not look like this. The floors, if on your way out, there's a metal cabinet back there. You can see unfinished floors. That's what it would have looked like in here everywhere. They also had blue walls for the wainscoting. Arlie, do you know what color the walls were when you were here?
What color was the walls?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyways, whenever the church got it, they were blue. Now they're tan. It's a much more neutral look. I can't say what's historical to the building, but it would look something like this. Actually, you know what? I lied. If you go in the bathroom, there's a closet off the bathroom to the right. If you open the closet, nothing in there has been touched. It's 100% original. So you can see the color of the original wainscoting walls in there. Yeah, I forgot about that. So that'll lead us into how the building was used at the time. The building at the time was used for men's dart ball through the church, the men's dart ball league, hence the trophies. They used to throw in the basement of the church. Ceilings are high for a basement of a church that they excavated out after the fact, but they're not as nice as this. This is great for throwing darts. So it was used for a number of years for darts, and then I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, the Boy Scouts moved here, Boy Scout Troop 150. They were at Pennsville Baptist Church. Prior to that, they were at Trinity United Methodist Church in Scottdale. Now they're here, made this their home. They love it here, great community, a lot of outdoor space to run around on the property and do different activities and stuff. So through the Boy Scouts, this building today is used actively throughout the year for education. And I think I can pretty confidently say that this is the only one-room schoolhouse in Fayette County. Nope. This is one of 2 one-room schoolhouses in Fayette County that is still used for education. Boy Scout Troop 180 down in Dunbar own the Harper School. It's an old stone school. They meet there regularly and also use that building for education. Nonetheless, pretty cool to have a one-room schoolhouse still in use today. My wife's in a nursing program right now, and her grandma went to school here, and we often come here for her to do her education stuff, so just a neat connection with that. I got involved with the Tyrone School shortly after I got married to my wife, Casey Coffman. I got more involved with the church, joined the men's dart ball team. Whenever we're playing darts, I was like, man, those single pane windows are getting really bad. The wood grid was falling apart. You can see the one back there. It's actually probably one of the better ones. That's why it's still there. But it is on the list to be replaced. You could stick your keys through the windows on this side of the building. So in the wintertime when you're playing dart ball, it's pretty cold with those windows. So we recognized the need for new windows. Purchased the new windows, installed the first 3 in 2022. Then in 2023, after we installed the windows, we started looking at the brick, and we're like, ooh, this building hasn't been touched on the outside for over 150 years. That's a long time for brick and mortar to not be cared for properly. There was some patchwork in different places, but it wasn't doing the job. We had brick that were settling, and if you look up here, there's a gap under the baseboard from where the building settled a little bit because there was no gutters on the building. The water was running off the building, hitting the concrete, washing back into the building, and eroding out the foundation, eroding out the first 3 feet or so of brick real bad to the point that we were about to start losing brick. And this is a structural brick building, so whenever you lose the structural stability of your brick, you lose your building. So having recognized that, the church started a capital campaign. We started fundraising money, doing rummage sales, all kinds of stuff to get money in. And the main focus at the time was to get that side done because that side was the worst. Fortunately, 2023, we had the money come in, or 2024 maybe. Anyways, we had the money come in. We were able to get one side of the building done. And it was what a blessing. Oh, my heavens. I still remember to this day whenever I first drove up to the building, they had all the joints ground out, and the building was chemically cleaned. I was like, wow, that looks good. And then they came and they pointed the building. I was like, holy smokes, that looks good. So at that time, as we're still fundraising, we're also looking at grants as an opportunity to help progress the improvements on the building. We were fortunate to receive a grant from the Fayette County Chamber, and it covered the other 3 sides of the building for the brickwork. I cried. I did. Whenever I got that phone call, because it's not a grant I put in for another grant. They liked our project so much. They didn't give us that one, but they passed us to the chamber. They liked our project, and it happened. Prayers answered, without a doubt. So we received that grant from the Fayette County Chamber for $13,275, which restored the rest of the brickwork for us. Well, all this time that we've been fundraising and we have all this money sitting there now, so it's like, sweet, now we can do more projects here. So at the time, we then were like, hey, let's upgrade the electric, because the electric used to come to the top of the building. There's a hole in the wall where it used to come through and then into the box. Now it's buried to the building to give the building a more historical look to the 1800s when it was constructed, because you don't drive past and see an electric line coming to the building. Davis Monument in Scottdale donated engraving to us so that we put the name on the cornerstone of Tyrone School. We didn't include the date at the time because we still weren't 100% sure when the building was made, constructed, created, whatever. So that's why that was left off. Around this time, we also joined the Country School Association of America. The church did for the schoolhouse as an organizational member. Arlie Rumball was awarded a service award from this national nonprofit organization, an award that they only give 2 out per year. And then fortunately this past year, his brother also got the same service award. They've both been very helpful in all the work that we do around here. They both went to school here. And a lot of this project couldn't have been done without their help. So, but the service award was for decades of service. So they've been mowing the grass and keeping the heat on with the dartball team and painting and just whatever the building needed, they were always there to help out with maintenance stuff. Once the brick was completed, we put the downspouts on the building. We installed a new toilet in the bathroom last year. Yeah, put a new roof on. That's a big one. Installed the new furnace with the new chimney. We had an old furnace. Unfortunately, whenever one thing happens, a dozen things happen, so the old furnace went bad whenever we were doing everything else. Fortunately, we had enough money set aside that we were able to get the new furnace installed. I can't forget this. This is a good one. Before we installed the new flue for the furnace, there used to be a brick chimney out back. The brick chimney had a honeybee hive in the top of it, and it was there for a lot of years, 5+ years. It was well established. We got a grant from the Country School Association of America to help us with the removal of that chimney. Fortunately, Sean Jones, our neighbor down here, took the honeybees for us. After the honeybees were out, we still had the problem with the chimney on the building, and the honeybees weren't completely out. I don't know if anybody knows beekeeping, but once you take them, there's still remnants of like honeycomb and maybe a little bit of honey, and they know where home was. So there were still hundreds of honeybees in the chimney. So Arlie came out with his old Farmall Super C tractor. A gentleman from the church, Damon Stash, took an iron bar, got up on a ladder while the bees are attacking him, pounded a metal rod through the chimney. They strapped the metal rod to the tractor. Arlie pulls, snaps the brick out, and the top of the chimney falls down, but the whole chimney doesn't come. And now we have hundreds of angry bees. The chimney's still there. The bees aren't going away. So they get the rod behind the bottom part of the chimney, pry it out, and they slip the cable behind it, attach it to the tractor, pull the rest of it down. They call it a day after that. But he definitely got stung a lot. So we're very thankful that he was willing to do that work for us as a volunteer, and also for the farm tractor and Arlie's use of it. But so yeah, there's been a lot of fun that goes on with restoring a building like this. Some future projects that we have in the works. The last window needs to be replaced out there. We have the replacement window. We're currently collecting donations to have the gable end of the building on that side replaced. Whenever you came in, you may have noticed if you looked up that some of the siding's missing, some of it's patched up with plywood because the chimney was there and there was no siding behind it. So we're trying to collect money to finish this project off, at least on the outside of the building. The slate chalkboard on the inside is a small project. We want to eventually move the men's dartball stuff from this corner into a little cubby hole that we're going to build in the bathroom. It'll be open to the room, but into the bathroom. So a lot of fun projects have went on here, a lot of good memories made, a lot of good friendships made. But that's what I could tell you about the recent renovations that we've had. Did I miss anything, Arlie? With renovations?
Did he miss anything? Did he miss anything? Anything you should remember that you want to tell him he didn't?
No. I was a bad boy. When I was a first grader, somebody gave me a handful of BBs.
Oh, no.
And I throwed some of them around through the school. And Zia Gordon, I don't know if anybody knows Zia Gordon or not, but she cracked my knuckles about 5 times with her BBs.
Yeah, one-room schoolhouses weren't for sissies. Definitely different times than what we have now. Yeah. Dick?
Well, I was just gonna say to remind them of when they're pulling the bee nest down, flew into your ear.
It did. I didn't get stung. I did. But whenever those bees are mad, they're mad. And
I think it stung you in your shirt earlier.
I had multiple stingers in my
You
shirt.
had a stinger in the
Correct. Yeah. Yep. But they didn't get me. They tried. But whenever we were doing that, they chased me all the way down to the church. And I'll tell you what, I was running. and they didn't let up on me until I was down in the front yard of the church. So yeah, it was something. Meanwhile, his Sean Jones' son was helping him, and no bee suit or anything. Like Sean would come down with the honeycomb in his hands and just hand it to his son, and he'd just put it in the box and whatever. They were all through his beard and everything. But
He got
Yeah.
stung. He came out to mow grass.
Yeah.
Those bees got him.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Chased him the whole way.
This was like probably a week after the chimney was on the ground, and they were still around. So yeah, it was quite an experience. Yep. Does anybody have any questions on anything with the schoolhouse? Unfortunately, I don't know a lot of the history because not a lot was written down. We only know the name of about a dozen teachers, and unfortunately, I don't have them with me right now. There's lots of pictures to look at afterwards. Please feel free to browse. Come check out the books and stuff.
Hey, Aaron, did they ever look upstairs? What's up there?
In the attic, there's probably right above where the patch is, there's a large antenna in the attic is what I believe to be some of the original wood windows from the building. They don't have the glass in them anymore, but they're very nicely made where they're dialed into the frame and whatnot. So whenever we put the patchwork on the back, I'm not sure if we'll leave them up there, if we'll bring them down for display or what we'll do with them. But when we put the siding on, we're never going to be able to take them out of there again. But that also means they're going to stay with this building another 150 years. So.
Well, what you can do with those is make like frames out of them and sell them off as generators.
That's what we did with the other ones. We sold them all. Whenever we took them out, the top frame and the bottom frame were all sold. And then the money came back to the restoration of the building.
Time capsule in it.
Yep. So the slate up front that you see here, that is a piece of the original slate chalkboard from the building. We have a couple other broken pieces out in the shed, but that's one of the lighter ones to carry in and write on.
Is that one original back there?
No, the Browns had this put in, or they put it in whenever they were restoring the building. This is wood. Yep. Okay, I'll ask a question then. I'm here all the time. I see this building a ton, probably as much as Arlie. Did anybody here, whenever you came in, did you notice something unique? And if so, why did that item stand out to you? No?
Is this curtain hiding something, or is that for movies?
The curtain's hiding the dodgeball boards, but also whenever the board's up here and you're throwing darts, it protects the wall. Yeah, it catches the darts. The trophies? The dart. We had the darts up there.
Yeah, this was close to where I was born, so
Okay.
so I don't remember much of it from being younger. But,
Your mom went here though, right? Your mom went here?
yeah. I was wondering, I was gonna ask, does anybody have any more pictures? I don't know if there's any pictures going back into the 30s.
We have some old pictures of the classes. They're on the table back there, but we don't know who's who. It's like a group photo out front or on the side of the building or something like that.
Okay, yeah, because my mother, her sister, and probably her older brother, I don't know if her older sister was there too at that time too.
Okay.
But they may have all been in that one picture early on.
Yeah. As we were going through history stuff at the church to get it ready for its 250th anniversary last year, we were looking at some of the old photos, and then it's like, wait a minute, there's a bunch of kids here and only one adult, and that brickwork doesn't look like the church. So we put 2 and 2 together with only one adult and a bunch of kids that it was probably the schoolhouse here. So we now keep that stuff with schoolhouse stuff. We do have an original teacher's book over there from the 1940s that was used here at this building for attendance purposes and whatnot. So,
I didn't realize Mrs. Gordon was here, she was my sixth grade teacher at Brown.
Yeah, I didn't know she was talking.
She just lived back over there.
okay.
And, Wingrove? No.
Black, and she might have been here too. Is Mrs. Black here?
She was at Halltown.
No, Zia Gordon. When I was here for 8 years, it was Zia Gordon. She lived over there where,
Yeah, right over
yeah,
there. Yeah, she was my sixth grade teacher at Brown.
yeah.
She told me.
Helen Black, I don't know this person.
Oh, she lived right out the road.
Well, she had Black service station over
Yeah,
there.
that's
That's
where
where
she
she
lived.
lived.
I don't know if she taught here or I'm out the other school. She was my second grade teacher.
Not Wingrove.
Did you have a?
Sarah.
No, she was my first grade teacher.
No, I was just curious.
Just wanna see if we can find.
Yeah, just curious. Yeah, see if there's anything that maybe I missed that you saw and you're like, hey, that's neat.
Was there a Sarah Wiggins?
There was a Wiggins teacher.
Yeah, okay.
There's a picture of her
Oh,
with the class in 1927 era.
she's stereotyped a one-room school teacher.
Yes.
Buns back here.
Yep.
That was probably early for her. She might have been.
Yeah. She taught at Tyrone, or,
Cochran.
she
Sarah Wiggins was mine.
substituted the ground field once in a while.
Well, she was my fourth grade teacher. Sarah Wiggins.
I will add that the Tyrone School is one of 3 remaining one-room schoolhouses in Lower Tyrone Township. The other 2 being the Cochran School, which is the old Mark I bar down on the four-way intersection, and then Cunningham School out on School Road is also still around.
It's on School Road.
It's right by Paul Hart's property. I think it's just storage, yeah.
What's the first school?
It's, you know where, Davis is lived? Emma Jane
Yeah.
Davis? Yeah.
Oh, that was the one that was up by,
Yeah, it's
That's the
wood
place that's on the left.
wood framed.
And the foundation's on the left.
there was a
Yeah.
school right out there by Harkins' house. Where Davis lived. Are we talking the same Davises?
Yeah.
Where Harry McNabb lived?
I don't know.
Well, he lived right next to
It's
this.
probably the same one.
That was his.
It's on
that's
School
his
Road.
family.
Yeah.
But
No, School
Harvey's,
Road is where the Hopkins live currently. It's right past River Road.
oh, down, way down there.
Yeah.
Okay. There
You're
was,
talking about, maybe one Edie's house. There
Yeah,
was that
exactly.
was the, because the cornerstone's still there.
okay. Yeah, it was just across the road from them, on the hill. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on the Tyrone School? What we've done? If you have history questions about what it was like here as a school student, Arlie's here. He shared one story with us already.
I bet he has a
Did
Oh, I guarantee it.
Did they ever use dunce caps? Remember the dunce cap, the stereotype, you know? What did I know?
Whenever Arlie was attending school here, they only had single desks. The double desks are more common in earlier time period schoolhouses. So I can't say double desks were never used here, but
Not in his lifetime.
not in his lifetime. Also, there wasn't necessarily a lecture bench up front. The lecture bench would have been used that they would have brought one grade up at a time. They would have sat on the bench. The teacher would have came and gave that class the lesson, and then they would have went back to their seats. And then second grade would come up, and then so on and so forth. In this building, the teacher's desk sat over on that side, right? Yeah. He just nods.
It's right up in the front there, right?
Yep.
Was there such a thing as recess?
We'll find out. Hey, Arlie, did you guys have recess?
Yes, we did, and I got in trouble one time. I just said, the teacher called everybody to come back into school, and I said a bad word. And somebody squealed on me and told me the
Ooh.
teacher, and she called my parents. Yeah, I said a bad word.
A story that was shared whenever we held the rededication of this schoolhouse 2 years ago for its 150th anniversary and the 25th anniversary of the church owning the building. Bob Sigwalt, Ruth's husband, shared that whenever they would have school here in the wintertime, they'd all take turns with feeding the potbelly stove, the boys would, and they would toast their bread on the side of the potbelly stove for lunch.
He always told me the older boys would get their feet going, stomping and everything, and the lights would start swinging. So, said the teacher got their feet.
Okay, let's give it a shot.
Yeah. You want to try? Yeah, that's why the floor bounces now. Yeah. Yep. Cindy.
My mom told a story where some of the boys locked one of the teachers in the coal shed.
Ooh. Rotten kids. No wonder they got the switch, the ruler.
She just told me some boys locked the teacher in the
I
coal
was
shed.
very good teacher.
Any other questions? If not, we'll close with, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, our museum is open on Saturday, this Saturday from 11 to 2, if you're interested in coming down to visit.
Cindy said.
Oh, yeah, free ice cream, right, yes.
So,
In the outhouse or something?
In the shed.
Shed?
Yeah.
Is that my dad? It was my dad.
was it?
Yes, it was my dad. You don't remember that?
No.
Maybe you didn't tell on me, but it was him. And there might have been others involved.
Yeah. So we're going to close with a poem. The poem is titled "The Old Brick Schoolhouse." Beneath the oaks, on a quiet bend, stands a schoolhouse time won't end. Brick and mortar, worn and proud, with whispers soft yet never loud. She opened doors in '73 to children wide-eyed, wild and free. Chalk on slate, the teacher's bell, lessons learned where stories dwell. Through winter's chill and summer's heat, boots lined up with muddy feet, ink-stained hands in woolen coats, and patriotic songs they had wrote. By 49, her lessons ceased. The laughter paused, the scribbles ceased. A final gasp in 54, 1/2 year more, then closed her door. But walls like hers don't fade away. They watch, they wait, they dream, they stay. Through hands of men whose passed her key, she found new life unexpectedly. A barber's chair beneath her light, buzzing shears and mirrors bright. And then that chapter too grew old, she stood once more, quiet and bold. Then came the church with sacred care, and dartboard hung with friendly flair. The Boy Scouts came with troops and pride, and campfire tells on evenings wide. A hearth of heart for all to meet, where stories linger warm and sweet. And through the years had dulled her face, she held her ground with timeless grace. In 22, with hands once more, she found renewal at her core. The bricks retucked, the beams made sound, revival rising from the ground. Now every creak and pane of glass speaks of the lives that came to pass. From pupil steps to scout salute, she bears them all, quiet, resolute. She's not just stone or timber worn, she's where the roots of dreams are born. An old brick school, scarred, refined, a keeper of a township's mind. Thank you for coming tonight.
Who wrote the poem? You?
Not me. No, not Casey.
Let's see.
Artificial intelligence. But man, what a poem. You have a question? Yep. Alrighty. You're all welcome there's water bottles up here, donuts, cookies. Please help yourselves.